Hello everybody, welcome. We're going to continue our lesson on drawing faces. This week it is drawing noses. Good noses are part of the face. And so just to kind of remind you, what we're doing is drawing one feature at a time, and then we'll try putting them all together. So it's a lot easier to learn things in parts and then put all the parts together. So that's what we're going to try to do today, drawing some noses. And as like I always like to tell you, this is going to be just like last week, where it's going to be a sequence of lines, spaces, and then values. Just those three things. That's all drawing is lines, spaces, and values. And this time the most important one by far is value. Value tells most of the story. You're looking at a drawing that's I've finished already, and you can see you don't really see many lines in there. You see some edges, yes, but no outlines. I think what a lot of times beginners try to do is they try to do really heavy outlines of the nose, and that kind of looks weird, like a heavy outline. So really what defines noses are just like soft changes in value. See that? You can tell that the nose goes up there and then back down because of the way it's shaded, and you can tell it's sort of got a sense of roundness to it. And I think back to the early part of the year. Remember back, I had you all draw things like this. You remember that, like our geometric solids, how we practiced that? There's a reason why, because that we're going to relate things back to those simple forms like this. So if you can draw that, you got this. You can draw a nose, no problem. Because really what's going on, the basic structure of a nose is kind of like three spheres right next to each other like that. Can you see how that works? You got like one big sphere in the middle and then two smaller ones on either side. And that's kind of what's going on. And we're going to shade this as if our light source is going that direction, like pointing that way. That's really all there is to it. So starting from lines and then moving to spaces and then to values. So let's try it out. So what you'll need is a piece of paper, pencil, and maybe an eraser if you make a mistake, which that's okay. All right, so let's start with lines. Okay, so our lines are going to look something like this. Draw sort of like a curved line. Like that. Okay, I don't know if it helps to give it a name, or I don't know, like if you want to call it like a bird or something. It looks sort of like bird wings. That's fine. So curved lines like that. Now what's going to happen, these lines are going to disappear when we're finished. We're going to do some shading. And now let's do some curved lines on either side, sort of like parentheses. Sort of like that. Okay, so that's our lines, and that's really all the lines we're going to need for this. Next, check your spaces. Kind of look at this negative spaces in between. Like, do the proportions look like they're accurate? Did it go down too much or go up too high? Anything like that? So if your spaces look good, if you need to make some adjustments, you just erase it and try it again. Okay, so check your spaces, and if your spaces look good, now it's time to add some value. Okay, now remember, think of it this way. Three spheres side by side, small, big, small, and we're going to shade it like that. Okay, so I'm going to start. I like to start with the darkest value, actually. The darkest value is going to be right here and right here. Okay, then we're going to add okay, remember again, we're trying to shade it sort of like there's three spheres like that. And that's pretty much most of it right there. The rest is just kind of darkening it in places where you think it needs to be darker. Here's a cast shadow. Remember, cast shadow is our darkest. And that's pretty much it. That's the rest. Most of it is shading, as you can tell. We did the lines really quickly in spaces. Spent most of the time on the shading, and this is sort of like a general nose. You know, all noses are a little different, come in different shapes and sizes. It's always best to look at something if you can, like for a guide. But this will kind of help you know just a general nose, and you'll know kind of what to look for, kind of generally how the shade and shadow works on it. But when you're drawing, it's always best to have a specific model or subject that you're looking at, and then really examine that closely, like where the highlights and shadows fall. But I hope this helps you draw on some noses, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.